All right. Good morning. Good morning. I'm late this morning. You know what? I did a webinar last night for everyone in the community, little veteran stories with, some value added. Hopefully everyone had a good time. It's always good to, get together, tell some stories about the last 25 years of markets and racing and things that help create who you are and how you do things. So anyway, with that being said, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com, and I'm a founding partner there. I'm also the founding partner of Red Dog Mindset, where I combine every world where I'm trying to get prepared with the X's and O's with the charts, but got to be able to execute with confidence and make sure you could press those keys when it's time. So a little bit of everything creates the formula. So anyway, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Good morning, Blair. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Florida Home Investing. We got Nappy in the house. We got Tim. We got Carisi. What's up, Jose? We got Robert in the house. Happy Tuesday of pre-Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. With that being said, we've had 2 really good days of trading. What do I mean? Well, for me, it was calculated. For me, I've been going over strategies that try and help give you guys value added during the 630 Club since 2020. Anybody know what the Red Dog reversal is? Anyone know what the RDR is? Some people make fun of me. Some people make money from it. What is that? It's right here. You have a huge wide range bar like Thursday. Everyone thought maybe the world was going to collapse, right? It could have collapsed after a big bar like this. All of a sudden we could have been at 634. We could have been at 626. But guess what happened? On Friday, we went below 651.89 and reclaimed it. Okay, so that took back this level, that relieved some pressure, that trapped some shorts, that got some of us long. So if you know the Red Dog reversal and you've been in my community for decades, you were able to adjust from short to maybe neutral or short to long, and then yesterday you had some power. So now what? SPYs are down a little bit, not a big deal. SPYs are down 78 cents after the size of the move that we just had. So, that's actually probably healthier. It's called digestion, right? So the SPYs are down 82 cents ahead of the 830 number. So someone's like, Red Dog, if this is just an oversold bounce, what's next? I'm like, well, it could be an oversold bounce, or it could be a whole new sequence that goes for multiple weeks, but we'll have to measure it. So I would think that, that you get the SPYs to hold 644.55 or higher, and then at some point it takes out this 670, then you have 675. This is 684. What's this high here? This high is another one. That's 680. And then we'll see. I know yesterday I came up with a lot of different frameworks for you guys. A lot of different frameworks. A lot of people like, Red Dog, we make so much money watching the 630 Club. Thank you so much for the keys to the day, your levels, sometimes your idea flow. I do try and give power plays. I tell them what to do. It's a product that we have at T3 where I'm like, buy this, it can go there, or do this, it can go there. But anyway, with that being said, sometimes you get some nice little nuggets from the 630 Club. Like yesterday, I was sitting here 24 hours ago with Meta. This is what I wrote in here. Meta went from 795 to 581. Some are long versus 581, which was right here. Others looking to get above and buy when it gets above 604. So yesterday with the Alpha team, I was buying it at 598, buying it at 602, 604, and it went as high as 616.70. That was a nice trade. And I talked to you guys yesterday about how framing trades. I don't sit here and talk out of my butt. I don't sit here and just talk about past trends and past charts. I give framed trades that could make you a lot of money if you execute with confidence. So anyway, yes, there was a probably one of my better trades in Meta in a while. Meta's been really, really hard. And right now, Meta's down $1.55. So I would think, you could buy Meta and it should hold. Where was it yesterday afternoon? So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go look at yesterday's chart, which is right here. So you go to Meta, and I would think that if this is any good, okay, that it should hold, just say 608-ish minimum. I would love it to even hold higher than that. I'd love it to see it hold, closer to the 609. So this would be a nice spot to hold, a nice spot to maybe add some back, and then let it digest and go green, and maybe even take out 616.70 for another move towards 630. So that's what I'm thinking with Meta. I'm still long it. I'd like to buy some in the hole. Hopefully it holds higher, then trade through yesterday's high, and boom, that's how you use your tier system. Also, look at this Apple. Apple looks so ready. Is it ready? Is it going to get above 277? This is a crazy upper channel, nice bull flag holding up here, looking like it's ready to go. Apple's been a little tricky. Apple's been like, hey, is it a defensive play? Is it, buy it when the market's going lower? Is it a risk asset? Bottom line is Apple looks pretty set up here to take out 277. Will it take out 277 today? Maybe. Will it take it out on Wednesday? Maybe. How many days does it need? I would think that if this is going to digest and really perk up and stay here, this should never don't get back below this 270, this 273-ish area. Hold here, build this upper quadrant, and then at some point, get through this 277 on its way to 280, 283. Google's beast mode. Google, hopefully you took it home on Friday. There's nothing you can do about it now. Look at this move. Look at this friggin' trend. I remember when it was down here and everyone was telling me. I remember when, what's his face? Who's the major analyst out there? He was saying to get away from Google. The search is ruined, et cetera, et cetera. Where was it? Right here. Gene Munster. He was telling me, he was saying to everybody, he's like this major analyst saying that Google is cooked, that the search will never be the same. And I think that was right around here. And then it took out 207 and it's been special since. Can you buy it today? I don't think so. There's news that Meta is going to be using Google chips, and holy cow, it's up another 14. This is why I say, even if you're not long it, doesn't mean it's a short. And here it is at 332, well above it. It was above the moving averages. Congratulations if you're there. Anyway, what a move. There are names that could create and make your whole life if you catch it correctly. There was a lot of those in the second and third quarter of this year before they topped out too. But you got, bottom line is look at the moving averages here too. When the S&P and the Qs came into like the 100-day on Friday, all this did is hold the 8-day. So as I say, when you're above the 8-day moving average, you're not shorting, you're looking for opportunities long, and boom. Anyway, that's Google. At this point, you can't buy it. I'd love to see Tesla, get better. What would it mean for Tesla to get better? Tesla would have to probably get above this 421.72 and 429. It's got to take back that spot. Yesterday was a step in the right direction. Yesterday it held 402, and gave you a way to buy it. It was strong all day. So now the question is, will it go from red to green? Will it take out 421.72? And then here's 429, and then there's your 442, right? So the question is, can it get better? Usually it's been red, green, red, green, red, green. So I'd like to see Tesla hold higher and try and go green and get better. But what I want and what the market does are two different things sometimes. Nvidia, I'm not in. Nvidia, I told you guys, is not where the action is. Nvidia at this point, it was the reason why we sold down last week when it failed to hold 191. And there was talk all weekend on how Nvidia, was not the only game in town, and that people could use Google chips and might even use some Amazon chips. They use some. Everyone's making some chips, and it's not just Nvidia. So stay away. I'm not short Nvidia, but I'm not long it, and I'm long a bunch of things, and it's down 780. And right now, I have a feeling, I'd say when Nvidia is a headwind, tech doesn't like it, but when it's a Nvidia problem, sometimes it could be a source of funds and it can go elsewhere. So just because Nvidia is down 4% or so, don't short all of tech. It could just be money coming out of Nvidia. It's had a huge, huge move, and that's that. This is 174.83. So you can go like this. Does Nvidia hold 172.93 or not? Right now it's down a bunch, and it's a Nvidia problem. It's not a Google problem. Look at Google. Google's up 13 points. It's not a SPY problem. SPY is only down 80 cents. So right now it's a Nvidia problem. So does it hold 172.93 or not? If it were to break below that, maybe it causes some sell programs. We'll see. Anyway, so some of the super growth names, yeah, they're a little bit better. Super growth is is trying to rebuild. What do I mean by that? Well, like ASTS, if you sold it when it did a red dog reversal in 99.13, you could be a buyer back down here. I bought some options. I think this can get to 57 to 62. All right. And then it still needs to rebuild. Sometimes it takes a long time to rebuild. We're in the rebuilding stage of something like this, which is super growth. Iron's still in, a rebuild stage, but nice candle yesterday. So I'd like to see iron hold a portion of this. I think it can get towards 50 to 53. This too, from 75 down, if you sold it on this day when it opened up and failed and gave you an RDR sell, you were able to buy it when it took out 44.55. So there's always a time and place. Yeah, Baba had a strong report. It's higher. I'm not in Baba. If you're in it, start to act well. It cleared this descending channel. It's up here. Make sure to trim and trail. Congratulations, Baba's up, 4%. So a lot of things to do. It's very specific, and you have to be specific. But if you're properly prepared and you have multiple plans, you can adjust kind of when it's time to adjust. So anyway, with that being said, that's Alibaba. Ethereum, ETH had a day yesterday. I would think you could buy a little bit, buy a little bit in the hole, let it rebuild here before it goes a little bit more. I am long some Ethereum, ETH. I already bought a little bit more this morning. It's down 74 cents. Not the biggest deal, but at 27 and a quarter, what's this high here? This is 26. What is this? 26.46. I would think if this is any good, it should not get below this 26 or say 50-ish. Hopefully the computer's working today. Tom Lee said the reason why Ethereum went down, from 48, 49 down to here was because of a computer glitch. All right, Tom Lee. Anyway, so we'll see if it holds here and potentially gets better. IBIT also is down a little bit, cleared 58, 57. If you got out up here or got out there this whole way down, I would think it can get back towards the 8-day. So I would think IBIT is probably buyable too in the hole. If it's not, then this market, then risk is in a lot more trouble. So this is 49.62, right? IBIT 49. What's this high here? This high here is 48.57. I don't know why that's maybe my dyslexia, 48.57. So I would think, you could be buying versus spot today in IBIT. So there's some room to there, but both of these dips should be buyable if they're not going to unravel. If you can't buy a dip in Ethereum and Bitcoin, today-ish for it to hold above this pivot, chances are, it's going to be in a lot of trouble through December. But we'll see. I'm willing to buy a little bit of that. All right. Michael Anthony says on Finvits, the company has grown revs to report already 54 million in revs than last year. No debt and still. Which one are you talking about? Does Amazon look better? Not really. I'm long a little Amazon. I feel like there's some catch up here. If Amazon were to get above this, what is this, 227-ish? There's some room up to here. It's not where the money is. You had your upper wedge broke to the downside. Looked like you had a small red dog reversal like everything else on Friday, so that could have got you long. You've already made a little bit of money. And if Amazon's going to be any good, I would think it's got to hold in here and rebuild and then take that out, but we'll see. Microsoft, I'm really not interested in. It's broken as hell. Couldn't even rally yesterday. Double top. You failed into there. I guess there's room to rally. That's really broken. It's got a lot of rebuilding to do. But anyway, so with that being said, someone said, what about the Qs? The Qs had a huge move. Qs took out a lot of levels yesterday. So I would think the Qs could digest a little bit. It'd be very, very constructive to digest above 602 in here. That wouldn't be much of a pullback. And then at some point, take out 606. If it doesn't hold 602, this 597-ish, which is Friday's high, is your line in the sand. So with that being said, I do think Apple at some point, you got to be watching this thing. It's going to take out 277. If I were a betting man, which I'm not, I would think this is going to be 280-ish at least by Friday of Thanksgiving. At least, maybe today, maybe Wednesday. I'm just saying, I'm focused on it. Hopefully, it goes from red to green today. Oracle, I think, is too tough. It's an avoid. Palantir had a decent move yesterday, came back up into 165. It's just a range trade. It's not a leader. And then again, when it's making lower lows, tech doesn't really like that. But for now, we'll see happen. Maybe it holds this 158. Everything's in like a rebuild mode. Not everything is Google making higher highs. Some things act better than others. You got to know your levels in the SPYs and the Qs. You have to know where the relative strength, relative weakness is. Know where is this worth it? Is it not worth it? Is AMD? I don't know if AMD is dead, but I'm sure they would have liked AMD to get the deal, not Google. And AMD's down 8. So you got to be pretty careful with these chip names that you've thought had a monopoly on all these AI chips, because it's not the case. So with that being said, that they could be a little bit of a battleground. I'm not saying get out of AMD and sell your Nvidia long term. I'm just not in there for now. Again, Nvidia, does it hold 170, 293 today? You'll see. AMD, does it hold this 203 gap or here? Yeah, maybe. For me, I'm not going to probably be there. So with that being said, Uber, I haven't traded Uber in like 3 months. It too is really broken. Maybe there's room for a broken bounce. Hopefully you get out here when it broke. It's below all the moving averages. There's a lot of broken names out there. The more I go through these charts, the trickier it looks in a lot of places. So make sure if you made really good money in the red dog reversal, in the SPYs, I simplified it in this weekend. I was like, you know what? I don't know exactly which names are going to go, which aren't going to go. And right here, I played the red dog reversal at 650, 189, and then, played different names yesterday that acted well as we went up to 670-ish. Now, again, do we hold 644.55? If so, maybe we digest and continue. If this doesn't hold, chances are you got to be a little bit more risk off. Grumpy Grandpa reposted this stream. Thank you. I appreciate that, Grumpy Grandpa. Now, listen, guys, if you want a 6:30 club on Friday of this holiday weekend, why don't you subscribe to the Red Dog Mindset above? It's that little subscribe button on Twitter. If you're tuning into this, you see it there. If you're a member of Red Dog Mindset, awesome. It's been going for about a year. You could work out with me to 25-20. We do things on the weekends, and we do some ways to create some kind of inner growth. So this way, when things trigger, you know what you're doing. I've been doing this for 25 years or so. I've seen traders come and go, individuals lose their process routine and become shells of themselves because they can't handle the day-to-day. So if you have a strong routine and a process, which is what I've been building for 20 years, you can handle your inner game, you can handle what you control. So when things are out of control, you see things a lot more clearly. You don't go on tilt. You don't revenge trade. You don't do all the things that people do to lose more money than they have to and wind up blowing up their accounts, and then they get a different job. I'm here to help you stay in your job, maybe frame some trades, create some ideas for you. And if you trade for a living, you should be in the alpha team with us here. It's 500, professional traders that trade for a living, that try and make money every single month, every single quarter, create cash flow so they can also build wealth longer term. Lots of different ways to do it. You got to start somewhere. Right here is cool though too. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we'll see how it goes. Things are, SPYs again are down small after a big move, down $1. There's an 830 number. Qs are down $2. Not so bad. We'll see the levels that I laid out there. Are they going to hold? Will some names go red to green? Will we get some good digestion for a little bit more upside later in the week? Either which way. Rick Friedman says not healthy to have Google up. Yeah, it's healthy if you're in it. It's not healthy if you short it. So it is what it is. Yes, it's turning into a little bit of a runaway train. And again, it's a little bit of a pain. I don't think anyone's short Google. I don't know who would be shorting Google. It's the strongest stock in the world out there. And if you're still long it made a little bit of sense. You're getting paid. So I would be trimming Google into this, not buying it for the first time. Figure out how you missed it if you have some FOMO there. But I get it. Anyway, JJ, see you later at 6:53. I got a lot going on here. Got to put 40 charts into the alpha team. Going to maybe put out some power plays today. I'm thinking Apple could be a power play if it's down $1, goes red to green, and we stay positive this week. I don't know why we wouldn't be at 280, 282-ish. And maybe we get a little digestion in Meta and Tesla for some continuation towards week's end, but we'll see. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you want a 6:30 club for Friday, subscribe to the Red Dog Mindset, because I've been doing the 6:30 club Monday through Thursday for 5 years, and I'm willing to add a Friday if everyone gives a little. That's what it's all about, right? Especially if you get some value. I think people have been getting value from this for 5 years. So if you want more, that's cool. If not, you know what? All is good, my doggies. Make sure to take your frozen turkey out of the freezer so it can thaw out so you're ready to go on Wednesday, Thursday. If you have a fresh turkey, that's cool too. And send me some pictures of you guys frying them. I do it in the oven. I like to baste. I like to, see it go from the start to the finish versus just throwing it in and frying it all up. But I do like some fried food here and there. So anyway, have some fun. Don't put yourself in a bad mood for this holiday week. Make sure you're going step by step, stocking some days because they do add up. Don't be irresponsible. Just trade what's in front of you, not the market that you want, because some people are still caught short from Thursday. And it's and they're hating life, wishing for bad news, and they didn't adjust with that when those lows were reclaimed. But it is what it is. Happy Thanksgiving, JJ. I appreciate you. Later, Jim. Later, guys.